Hey guys, and welcome to this week's installment of Tuesdays with Lauri. My name is Lauri Laukkanen and I'm one of the editors at SLR Lounge. You can also find me on Facebook at Lauri Laukkanen Photography. Today we're going to be taking a look at my latest photograph titled Realms of Reality. We're going to take a look at the Photoshop file and break it down layer by layer, and along the way I'm going to teach you guys a few tips and tricks. With that said, let's get started. So here you guys can see the final image that I created in Photoshop. And here you can see the original shot that we shot in Liverpool. So as you can see what I did for the image, I added the clouds, I added the skyscrapers in the background through the window, I added an image into the TV, did quite a lot of stuff actually, and played around with the colors as well. And we're going to go through this all in this tutorial now. So let's start out by taking a look at the layers. What I have here first is a folder called Build Up. And with this sort of an image, what you really want to do is first start out by building it. Add the elements that you want to have in the final image, work on the composition, and only after that you can start worrying about the minor details, refining stuff, and working on the colors. So here I have a folder called Build Up, and the first layer I have here, let's just turn these off like this. The first layer I have is a fix that I did for the window here. We had the curtain, because otherwise the light was a bit too bright, so we diffused it with a curtain, but it left this funny piece here, so we needed to get rid of it. So here's what I did there. And then the next layer is pretty much the most important layer in this whole composite image. It's the smoke, and I created it using a custom brush that I'm going to talk about creating custom brushes in a later tutorial. But for now, just so you know, I used a custom brush and I'm using a vacuum tablet, so it's a pressure sensitive brush, and that way I get a lot of control when I'm creating the smoke. So that's what I have in this layer, and then I added the skyscrapers into the window, and that's what I have in this city layer here. I wanted to kind of play around with the idea of having the same landscape in the TV as well. So what I did, I added the TV into this, or I added the skyscrapers into the TV as well. Then, to add a bit of magical feeling to the image, I added a colorful glow around the TV, which is here in this layer. As you can see, when I turn it on and off, we get this purplish glow on top of our TV screen. Then that's the build-up folder. Then what I started working on was the window and making it look a bit more realistic and a little bit more brighter, as I really wanted to have a big amount of light coming in through the window. So I have this window glow folder here, and I have 3 layers here, and when we turn the whole folder on and off, you'll see how much extra light I added into this upper corner. And when we turn these off, I have one layer with a white gradient, and I use the blending mode soft light to kind of blend it in nicely. Then I have another layer here which adds these light rays. If you look at my layer mask here, it's I just added these light rays into the window. And then finally, if we look at this layer mask, I added another layer with the glow as well, but it's mostly around the edges of the window. So that's what I have here. So these 3 together added this sort of a glow into the window, which was exactly what I was going for. Then, after creating the window glow, I started refining the smoke. I found a few things that I wanted to fix, and that's all that I did in this folder. Sorry about that. So we have this folder, and in it we have a few fixes that I did into the smoke. I used the clone stamp tool and the custom brush that I used and kind of just refined it. So that's what we have in this folder. Now I felt that the composition itself and the elements that I wanted in the photo were kind of in place. So now I could start working on the colors and making everything kind of blend in and look good. So that's what I have here, a color grading and saturation folder. So as you might know, I used a curves adjustment layer when I color grade. So, and I've done a tutorial on this before, so you can just search for it on YouTube, color grading Tuesdays with Lauri, you should find it. And when we turn this folder on, you can see the colors that I went for and the color grading that I did for this image. First, I had the curves adjustment layer that kind of blended in all these elements together and kind of took this image to the colors that I wanted, but then I felt we really didn't have enough saturation in this image. I really wanted to feel magical, a lot of saturation, a lot of colors going on. So I really bumped up the saturation with the hue and saturation panel, and that's what we have here. So then now when I had the colors and the saturation like I wanted it, I could start working on the image itself, working on the crop, doing a bit of dodging and burning, fixing the skin tones and all these like smaller details of the image. So what I did here was I created a stamp visible layer, which means I merged all the things that I created below on a new layer. So that you can do it by pushing down the Shift, Alt, Command and E button. And that way it creates just a new layer with all the same stuff that you have already below it. And then on this stamp visible layer, I found a few things that I still wanted to fix, which I kind of missed in the beginning. So I have this random fixes folder here where I added actually quite a lot of stuff now. When I turn it on and off, you can see first I have a flare / light leak. So I just created this Photoshop flare, blurred it a bit with the Gaussian blur, pulled down the opacity quite a bit and kind of just added this nice gradient glow light leak into the upper right corner. So that's what we have here, as you can see. And then I have this layer here, which a bit just brightens up this corner a bit, as I felt it was a bit too dark. So that's what this does. And then I added a bit of glow into the TV. So that's what we have here. Altogether, this random fixes folder just kind of finished up the image and took it to another level. And that's what I did here. Now, I felt it was time to kind of finish up the image. I was quite happy with it, just had to do some minor fixes. So I have here a contrast layer, which I used to bump up the contrast. As you can see here, I'm gonna turn it on and off. And then I wanted this to feel a bit more cinematic. I really wanted to make it look like this could have been a scene in a movie. So I went for what I call a movie crop, a cinematic crop. So this is more like a 16:9 ratio, but then I added these black bars in the top and lower part of the image, kind of to create this cinematic feel to it. So that's what I did here, worked on the crop. And then I felt I wanted to brighten up our model's face and the arm here just a tiny bit. So that's what I have here in the dodge layer. I use the curves adjustment layer for dodging and burning. So that's what I have here. You can see I just pulled up the highlights a bit and then used the layer mask and brightened up model's face. But as you can see, I also brightened up the dress a bit and some parts of the wall and the window. So that's what we have here. Actually, I used it to brighten up the curtains next to the window a bit. So that's what we had here. And then the image was almost done. I just noticed our model skin was a bit too red. So I just fixed that using first this hue and saturation panel here and kind of just pulled down the reds in our model skin. As you can see, I used the layer mask to mask it out and just pulled down the reds in our model skin and then played around with the color tones a bit, again using just the hue and saturation panel, and added a bit of yellow into the hair and into her skin tones. The image was done, and the final step that I did was just use the high pass sharpen layer to kind of sharpen the overall image, and that was pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video, and as always, if you have any questions or requests for future episodes, just leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to help you all out. But with that said, thank you so much for watching and see you again next Tuesday. Bye!